review of our sales cycle. So we said, okay,
You just
okay.
pull that MarketForce.
And then we add customer different process.
Okay.
From the product to
Yeah.
the branding and everything. So
Yeah.
we said, okay, 360-degree view of your sales. So we called the second product MarketForce 360. So it forced us to think about, okay, how do we brand the first product? So we branded the first product MarketForce 1.
So
because
these
it
are
came
two
first.
different products,
That
MarketForce and MarketForce
for-
360.
Yes, they're for different industries.
Or for different industries.
Yeah.
Okay.
And mostly because the process of sales in the financial services is a little bit different from the process of sales in the FMCG.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, because in the financial services, it's more about lead. It's lead generation. You go to Michael, you ask Michael, do you have insurance? Says no. Can you get insurance? Yes, blah blah blah. And then it ends up in a conversion. In the FMCG industry, you are selling physical products actually.
Yeah.
So you can in the financial services, it's actually services.
Yeah.
In the FMCG, you are selling physical products. It's
Yeah.
water.
Yeah.
Do you want water? There's nothing like tomorrow or today. You don't generate leads. You generate actual orders or sales.
Yeah.
So the FMCG industry, you go to Michael's shop.
Yeah.
You say, I have a carton of water. I'm selling at 100 shillings. They either buy
Or
or
not.
not.
Yeah.
So that process was
But now
quite
there's
different from the financial services process. So we actually did, from a technology perspective, we had two workflows, two different workflows for those products. Yeah.
But they could not intermarry where maybe I say I want to get stuff on credit or, I want to pay later. I want to,
So those things have intermarried now.
Oh, okay. I see.
They have intermarried
Well, like
now,
if you guys didn't see that, then there's still an opportunity.
Yeah, that's opportunity we saw. And then now we ended up rounding it up as we just MarketForce. And then MarketForce has multiple products with it.
Okay. Which
First
products do you guys have?
So we have MarketForce 360, MarketForce 1, and Reja, which is the B2B commerce marketplace, where now we went a step further and enabled these shopkeepers, neighborhood merchants, to order for inventory from the customers we were working with, FMCG, the brands, and at the same time access financial services from MarketForce 1 customers.
Yeah.
So we went full cycle and built a platform that encompasses all these players in the retail value chain for both consumer goods and financial services.
Yeah.
And that's the product that we ended up scaling.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys acquired a company in Nigeria?
We acquired a company in Kenya called Digituka. They're building a couple of financial products specifically for the neighborhood merchants. So for us, it was a way of time collapsing, which means we knew to build the same set of products, a wallet for the merchant to store their money, get access to loans, sell financial services like airtime, etc. We knew it would take us 12 to 18 months to build. So we decided let's acquire a company that's already built. All these
Had you raised funds by then or not yet?
2021 we had raised, we're just close our $2 million round.
But before that, because this is something I wanted you guys to share, you are joining Y Combinator, right?
Yeah.
Please share about that, because there's so many guys. Does it work? Is it the face value? Is it ulabalu that we see, or is it really a good process for an entrepreneur to look forward to qualify?
I think I always say at the end of the day, numbers never lie.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
I do think that out of the accelerators out there, Y Combinator does a very good job in what they do. Yeah. And the numbers are out there to show it. I think they have a number of companies that are valued over $1 billion. Yeah. A lot of them above $100 million dollar valuation. Yeah. And they've shown over time that given the number of companies that go through the process, and even just before that, the number of companies that they speak to before they onboard people into the YC program, they kind of have an idea in terms
of what they're doing.
Yeah, not just in terms of what they're doing, but what it actually takes to grow a $1 billion company. And I think the biggest thing you get out of YC is the network.
Yes.
And very good at telling you the things you shouldn't do.
They don't tell you what you should do more.
They tell you what you should do, but I think that for me personally, the learning I took is really like they have a very good idea on the things that will kill you.
That's very interesting for an entrepreneur because you're learning as you go.
Yeah, sometimes what I do to succeed might not be the same thing that another company has to do to succeed.
Yeah.
But remember that the things that you will do that will kill you, even if you do a new thing that will kill you, but the ones that killed company A, there is a very high chance that if you do the same thing, you're going to die.
Kaka, you're scaring an entrepreneur out there.
No, I'm just saying and that's why there is the saying that, do not wait to learn from your own mistakes.
For sure, that's a wise person.
Learn from other people's mistakes because, for mistakes, there's always the assurity that if you do the same mistake,
fall in the same trap.
You're going to fall into the same trap. The formula to success is not out there. People will have to do different things to succeed.
Yes.
But the formula to failure. The formula to failure has been defined a number of times.
So are you saying Y Combinator gives people formula to failure?
No, what I'm saying is they have a very good idea of what things can kill you quickly and how you should avoid them.
And this reminds me, even at C4D, I used to focus more on what you should not do. I don't know, for some reason. And guys, actually, there's some guys who didn't take that nicely, but anyway, it worked.
So that's one thing, and then the other thing is the networks you get out of YC and the kind of community that they build is superb.
Now, how do they do this? Do they have entrepreneurs who have gone the journey? Do they have investors who have the experience? Do they have trainers who really have gone and researched and studied about different tech ecosystems or entrepreneurship journeys?
Sorry to interrupt. One of the things I realized is all the venture partners at YC were operators, have built businesses.
So there's no ulabalu because you have some billion somewhere, you want to come here and tell Mesongo how you should build MarketForce.
No theory. All these guys have built businesses. Fairly large businesses. One of our YC partners had sold his business to Autodesk. The likes of Sibyl, Twitch. And these are the guys who you're interacting with, for 3 months, and they're pushing you to do the right things. They do this. They've narrowed it down to a couple of things that prove product market fit, prove team fit, and you have to execute on these things week on week. And they push you to achieve or to make those things happen. Whether you need to pivot, they give you the confidence to make that pivot. So, as Mesongo has put it, you're just learning from the best, quite literally. I think that network and those kind of people, they're not just people you walk into in the streets. And I think that's that curation of the YC experience is what makes it produce very successful companies. Flutterwave, Paystack. That's a couple, those are examples in Africa, and if you think globally, Airbnb, Stripe, multi-billion-dollar businesses.
So how much do they take, and how long is the application? The process.
The application is very short. They take it's changed over time. In our cohort, 7% for $150,000. Cash, I think now they are doing up to $500,000. Similar stake, I guess. Application is quite straightforward, but after the written application, you get to do an interview. And after the interview, you get a yes or no. So it's also the process is very well refined.
A lot of guys applying that process, and very few actually make it.
It's harder than getting into Harvard. That's what they.
Did they say that?
The numbers. They don't say the numbers. The numbers say it.
But you guys could easily make it to Harvard.
Mesongo maybe. Myself,
no, guys, you could make it. You could actually make it to Harvard. You could make it. Anyway, you guys may laugh about this, but I can assure you that. And one thing I discovered actually in my recent ventures is that Africa, you have the smartest minds in the world. no joke about it. It's just that we don't have the platforms. And that's why every time I see young guys or even old guys creating platform, I'm so excited because the platforms matter. You might be the smartest guy ever, but without platforms, chief, in Korea, you could not make anything. But the platform brought you here, right? So imagine if you were in somewhere else in the world. Just take a guess. You could be amazingly good because here there are guys who start coding at 9 years old. When even you don't even think about it, get your next textbook.
And that goes back to exposure, right?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Super important.
So exposure and platform, play hand in hand to make sure that you explore your talent early enough and all that. Imagine if Africans go that. Because you guys went there, you're like, cream de la cream, right? Across the world.
That thing is also happening in the world of sports, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I think there's a coach who was saying if these Africans weren't selling their players to European clubs, they'd probably be winning World Cups.
Absolutely.
Very talented.
Absolutely, yes.
And we can see in Kenya our very own marathon. Now we're seeing 100 meters.
That tells you a lot.
Top of the class. And
even when you go to that Harvard or MIT, for your information, the smartest guys are from Africa.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe not, but but it's proven and tested. But besides that, are there companies that go to Y Combinator and they realize this is not it?
I mean, everyone will have a different experience.
Yeah.
But I do not think that it would be fair for somebody to say that they didn't get anything out of YC.
No, even not getting anything. It's like you realize maybe we overshot. Maybe this will not work. From maybe this is not the $1 billion idea. Maybe it's $100,000 idea.
In fact, I think that's one of the biggest values of YC.
Yeah.
Really quickly you learn if your idea can work or it can't work.
Because I feel from that point now you don't waste time with one idea. You can pivot. You can decide, okay, maybe I should try and do it better, or maybe I should even just close it and maybe focus on other things. Because that's also valuable if you think about it.
Yeah, I think in the cohorts you also realize there is second time, third time founders that have been through YC before and shelved the idea because of one thing or the other. Okay. I think they also invest a lot in identifying good and great entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So sometimes the idea might not be so great.
But
they will help you discover that. Yeah. But the entrepreneurs are, tenacious people, so they will always go back and do other ideas. I think it's,
So you guys acquired Digiduka. Then which other acquisition did you have? Or was this immediately after Y Combinator or?
It was one year after. So we did YC in 2020.
Okay.
We acquired Digiduka in 2021.
Okay. Had you done your first round or?
But raised $2 million at that time in 2021 when we did the acquisition. Then that was before our Series A in 2022.
Yeah, but I hear also raising the funds there at Y Combinator is not a child's play.
Oh, it's not, because your investors, money is not infinite, right? They will listen to a batch of, I think at a time, 200 companies, and they need to decide. I have $200,000 to invest. I have $1 million to invest. Who am I putting it into?
Yeah.
So I think that it's very competitive in that sense.
Yeah.
And it wasn't easy, but it was a great platform for us to meet and many other investors and go into as we raised our Series A later. Yeah.
So that actually culminated to your Series A. You could reach out to some, investors.
We
the network.
A very strong network of investors as well through the process.
And how do they do dinners? Do they give you a list of how does this network work?
They're digging into the source. So we so we are the first fully virtual batch 2020 because of COVID. So our experience was quite different from many, I'm sure, because all our meetings are online. There's no opportunity to build that personal rapport. So it's about how you sell your story online. But at the end of the day, we had the connection. That was the most important part. Okay. You had the opportunity and the list of all these guys. We still do have access. once you get into YC, there's a platform called Bookface, which is all the YC founders, all the YC
interested investors, alumni.
Yes, alumni you can reach out.
Very nice.
So
very
and
nice,
that's why I think Mesongo said the most important part about YC is network. If you can tap into that, massive opportunity.
Yeah. That's very good. You've answered it really well because there's a point I wanted to bring across. So you guys, do you see the importance of communities?
Yeah.
Because that's just basically a community if you think about it.
Takes a village.
Absolutely. And the reason why this is very important, especially in Africa, is that communities are the. There's no single country you'll go that they don't embrace community. And I feel like, or maybe you guys can tell me, do you feel you're really building now the new communities where people can come together? And I know you guys have done an amazing job on curating some fund that you can invest in startups. Do you think we can do more? Or that's not the case?
I mean, it's not like, I wouldn't call it a fund. It's personal monies here and there.
It is a fund. It might be 100K, but it's a fund, right? Or that's pocket change.
It's
CSR.
It's not a pocket change. But,
of course.
We're excited about that because that's the opportunity. Outside building what you're building, I think the real impact is in how you can pay it forward.
Yeah.
And, we do spend a lot of time with other founders.
Yeah.
We've invested in about 15 companies now.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Together. And mostly, Kenyan companies, entrepreneurs who look like us.
Yeah.
And, have gone through the process we've gone through.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
And we feel like it's one of the best ways that we can give back our knowledge or experience so that they don't make the same mistakes that we made or we're making. Yeah, and that's been great. And also to give credit to the guys before us.
Yeah.
Guys like Sam, leading 80.
Sam Gikandi himself.
Sam Gikandi.
Wherever you are, Sam, shout out.
Yeah.
Did he encourage you in this journey or in one or the other?
I've had a couple of conversations.
Yeah.
We treasure that the opportunity to learn from those who've been before us.
Yeah.
Our chairman, for example, founder and Ken Joroge. He's been also very, very helpful in telling. It's he's walked the road.
Yeah.
And many, even as we go through the challenging times, the markets have turned. But just like it's a very grounding experience.
Yeah.
Being able to have somebody to reach out to who can give you advice, right?
Yeah. So do you think? Before even I go there, how much does it take to join these? What's the name of the startup investing car?
It's still Mesozi.
Mesozi. Yes. So it's a Mesozi fund or Mesozi investment.
We call it Mesozi Ventures.
Mesozi Ventures. How much does it take? If there's an entrepreneur,
how much do we invest?
No. If someone wanted to join and become part of the fund,
invest as well.
Yeah.
We haven't accepted anyone into the.
You have not.
It's not a real.
But I saw a platform. The reason why I'm asking, I saw a platform. I applied. I don't know if you saw my name, but I never heard of. It's not open
as well.
Yeah, you had a platform, right, where someone who is interested to invest could, write details there, how much they want to put in.
Oh wow!
There's a website I saw sometime.
No, we do have a platform that where we listed the companies, and we. Like, I think one of the biggest values is we've spent time building this network. Yeah. Our team, investors and all that, and even companies, clients. So we just link up these companies, these founders to people who are relevant for them. But we haven't opened it up.
Okay.
And it's a side gig. Like
no, I'm just saying if you guys had opened it,
you would invest.
I know a couple of people would put in. As much as people also are like, these guys are doing some pyramid scheme here. So there's that, but of course, there are guys who would really, because if you look at our ecosystem, even in Africa across in different markets, people would rather buy land, right? And it's just you buy and it just stays there. It's just land, right? There's no value, you're not farming, you're not doing anything. But if there was a platform where people could put in money and there's clear structures to manage that venture. Yeah. And I know Nigerians are doing really good on that.
I think there is a platform like that, not Mesozi, but our chairman. They have started something.
Who is your chairman? When you say chairman in Nigeria, it's a whole different ball game.
Board chair, Ken. They've started Pani. They have a venture platform. Where they're bringing together, the people that you're saying that don't want anymore to invest in land and high-rise building, and you want to believe in the next set of entrepreneurs. I think
is there
for
like
those interested, we can
cut-off line? How much you should go in?
I think with as low as $10,000.
$10,000?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not bad. Yeah, I know a couple of guys.
Invest to a fund,
So I'll do an introduction for you, and
please,
and you can do an introduction.
Yes, when I make it, I want to invest in startups. When I make it,
and I think that the platform they're actually building is not for when you make it.
It's for when you have made it.
No, it's for us. You are making it.
Okay.
As you are making it, that's why it's part very
of
accessible.
It's part of what will make you make it.
Exactly.
No, let's do the introduction, and then because the good thing in this platform is that I meet a lot of great guys, living out there, and one of the things I want to start is, if we put our hands more together, there's more that can come out of it, right?
Yeah.
So and I believe in like all of us can make it. There is no doubt. We just need to be open into holding someone's hand or holding someone's hand. You can be holding on the other side where they're pulling you, or you can be holding where you're pulling up, right?
Yeah.
So I want to talk a bit about being the CTO who builds a company that scales. How does that look like?
I think it's a lot of unknowns. Sometimes, I mean, you don't know what you don't know, because the thing about scale is things are always different the next day.
Yeah.
So one of the things is you have to be highly adaptable to change.
Yeah.
And also, just be able to, build, create your systems so that they're kind of elastic, so that they can always absorb new shocks. And by systems here, I mean both from a platform perspective and process perspective, so that, it then makes it easy for your team to adapt to new changes. So, for example, when you're building a platform for the Kenyan market, and then in 2-3 months, you're in 3-4 different other markets, speaking different languages, you need to change some processes because, some of the processes just don't work for that market. You have to have built a base, that you can stretch to adopt new processes that then can be adopted in those new markets. So there is always a set of unknowns in the future. I think that the best thing you can always do is to build a base that you can stretch to absorb a lot of the unknowns that are going to come as you scale the business.
So is that from even, the software itself? Is it from the documentation?
I think it's mostly on, the core of the software and the processes of how you build on top of that.
Okay. Chief, how is it meeting people on the ground? As a CEO, you're there, you see how it's working, establishing that, is this the right market we have, scaled to, meeting different African, cultures and perspective. How is that for business?
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important parts is building a business, staying connected to the people you're building for, your customers. It's a lesson we learned the hard way when we were building Tenderpreneur, where, you're building very great idea, makes a lot of sense on paper.
Yeah.
And then in Kenya, we say, vitu kwa ground
different. True.
When you go down to where it matters, you find that what you're building doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So for us, it's been important, and I probably one of the reasons MarketForce has been able to get to where it is now. It's just that focus on understanding who your customer is, and why your product matters for them. How do you improve? And that applies to the team as well, spending as much time as possible, because for us, one of the things we did, when was it, last year, was we inverted the organogram, because we realized in an organogram, the people who visually look like at the bottom should actually be at the top, because they're the closest to your customer. They're the closest to the person who makes your business thrive. And that's made a big difference for us.
So with that, have you ever encountered where I know you still make the hiring decision, and you hire the wrong guy, and you're like, oh my goodness. And how did you go about that for a startup, rather? Even you, Chief, you can chime in.
It's been
you guys have never hired a wrong guy like this guy. Oh my goodness.
No, I think that's one of the things everyone does.
Yeah.
Wrong could be for various reasons.
Yeah. Mostly the culture fit.
Yeah. Mostly culture fit. That's a big one.
Yeah.
But I think what's very important about that and many other mistakes that you make, because that's just one, is confronting the mistake early, and boldly.
Okay.
It could be making a wrong hire.
Yeah.
Could be choosing a wrong partner, choosing the wrong technology. It could be many things.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, these things, the only way to correct is to fix. So I think initially one of the mistakes we made is we just keep hoping. Hope is not a strategy. You keep hoping that things will improve. This person will change.
Yeah.
But you need to have substantial, not only belief, but logic on why you believe there's a change could happen.
Yeah.
If that doesn't exist, then you just confront the mistake you made.
Yeah.
And fix it.
Yeah. So that's a good approach. You want to?
Yeah, I think what's always important is in a company, and also it's very difficult, is at the end of the day, a company is a living organism.
True.
It has to have a DNA.
Yeah.
There is a way it behaves,
and it doesn't change.
And the DNA of that organism is always driven by the leaders and the founders. In that essence. So when you look at how that trickles down to the entire company, is you have to have defined what your DNA is like for anybody coming in. I think that then the next thing to do there is to put in mechanisms or have ways of identifying people that are not fitting into that DNA culture, whatever you want to call it, properly. And you just need to communicate in good time, as Tesh has said. Like, you need to fix the thing as early as possible, because what normally ends up happening, and this depends on the level with which you bring in this person, is they will be leading a change in the DNA that's not good for the overall health of the company. And
there's a question for Tesh here. What are the measures do you put in place as a CEO to make sure that, before even fixing, you avoid maybe some of these mistakes? Because now as you grow, of course, a lot of things actually start moving, and to some extent, you can't control some of those things. You can only fix them. But are there measures that you put in place to ensure that, if it's hiring, if it's tech, if it's even sales, if it's businesses that you partner with, are there measures that you put in place for that? as a startup?
Yeah, I think one of the things as the founders is important is being very clear on the vision and like why does I was about to say vision and mission, but I felt that is very old school. But it's important because why do you exist as a business in the first place?
Yeah.
So that's